Hello and welcome back to Steam It with Steve. Today we're up to our very last tiny house tutorial, and what we're going to learn about is how to cut a hole into the roof so that we can then put a staircase down into it. Now we're going to do this with using the components methods, which we haven't looked at before. And yeah, so here's the list of what we're going to cover today. So to start with, we're going to learn how to cut a hole into the first level of the roof, and then we're going to use our stair component to put that into the roof. So we'll have a way of being able to go up and down these set of stairs. So just zoom back in there and open up our SketchUp. So our SketchUp should look something like this at the moment. So we have our house, all the different tags, and we can see inside. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to remove the roof and the walls so we can see inside it. So we click on the tag, we click on the roof, and then we click on the walls. So now we have this really cool look of what it should look like inside. Now, basically we need to cut a hole in the top of this roof here. Doesn't quite matter how we do it. So there's a couple of different ways. Originally, let's just try the rectangle tool and see if this will work for us. We draw a rectangle on the roof here and we make it that much longer. So we want to go, let's say 2500, 1000. So we've cut a hole in there and then we just use the push pull tool. Let's see if that works going down. Sometimes this is a bit trickier. So we're going to go on that edge. No, it doesn't want to do it. Okay, so there's another trick that we can do because it's grouped a little bit differently. What we're going to do is double click on it. And we're going to measure out a rectangle on this face here. What we're going to do is we're going to make that 1000, 100. So now we have that rectangle on the face. So I've double selected to see how we've selected this component because it's all grouped together. And now we're just going to use the push pull tool on this edge. So see how it's separated it there, and then that should allow us. Yep, there we go. And we want to go back 2500. Cool. So now we've got a hole in our first floor. So when we look down, we can see in, and you can see up as well. So now what we want to do is put a staircase in. Now this is where the cool part is with the components. If we come down here to components, instead of us having to go on the whole of the internet and finding what we want, building what we want from scratch, we can search the whole of this warehouse for people who have uploaded their own components. So for example, if we want to look up an Xbox, type in Xbox, and there's an Xbox. Now, as a general rule of thumb, you want to make sure it's under a meg, just because the size of the files will get quite big if you don't do that. And if I wanted to put an Xbox into this house now, I would literally click on this. Whoop, didn't like that. Or click on that one. And what you'll find, this is actually a whole Xbox room, it looks like, which is kind of cool. Okay, but it's got everything all built into one. Now, if you do this with your assignment, the trouble is you haven't built this and you haven't shown all your skills. But if you're wanting to use this as an inspiration to get your head around how it might look like, that's a different story. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of an Xbox, what we're going to do is we're going to look for a staircase that will fit in there. So we'll go stair. Not quite any of these yet. We've got 1200 to look through. Wasn't this one? There was one I saw before when I was looking at this up. And back on page 3. Yep, there we go. That one. And see how that's under 1 meg? I can't actually see because I'm in the way. See how it's under 1 meg? All right, so it's only 8.2 kilobits in size. So if we click on this guy, download it, we now have a staircase. So I'm actually going to exit out of this first again. So then I'm on the ground, and then we're going to put the staircase down, and we'll put it down there. Cool. So the components aren't exactly the way we want it to be. So we're going to align this first. So we're going to rotate this object around on this face, and we want to go, let's click on there, and we want the blue top. we'll go 90 degrees. Cool, and then we'll move that across. So we'll click on that corner there. So let's go from here. So we'll click on that corner and we'll click on that corner there. Awesome, that's a bit better. We'll hide the components menu for now. And now what we'll do is we'll scale this back. So we'll go here, press the scaling tool. And what we can do now is pull this back a bit. And then that's nearly on top. So let's go down this way. Whoop. Let's undo. Let's bring this back a little bit more. Inside that's what the problem is. And now we'll go up and back like so, and up a little bit more. Perfect. So now we've got a staircase. Now to make sure that you're able to access it, probably need to make that a bit more compressed that way. So there is a bit of a gap that you can get actually up this stairs. Okay. And then we probably don't want that gap up in there. So we'll pull that back. Whoop. Go from here. There we go. So it's all about finding which is the right handle to make it move in the way that you want it to move. That looks pretty good. Okay. Oh, except probably blocking that door on that side there. So maybe we might want to move it back just a little bit this way. That looks pretty good. Cool. And then the other thing that you notice here, now that you got the stairs in, it's got the handles, but then it's got these handles to nowhere up the top here. So it might be worth us actually putting in our own balusters. So what we can do, if we copy that and paste, and then follow along the edge here, let's use the corner. Not quite. Let's paste, and then we'll use there, the midpoint there. And then we can do the same again. Oh. So this one looks a little bit more funky. And do something like that. So this one, let's actually undo that. We'll paste it. We'll go from there, and then we'll slide it in a bit. Nope, too far. So we'll paste it and slide it just slightly. Or too close. So now we can move it again. Whoop, not that one. Oh, you move it. Looking better. And now we move that forward. Better. Awesome. And then we'll do the same on this side. So I'll use it from the center, come across. Cool, good enough. But do you see that we could use the components inside of the components and sort of tweak with it until we get it to the way that we want it? So that's pretty much all that I wanted to go through. Like I said, if there's other things that you wanted to add in, so let's say, let's get rid of this first floor temporarily. And we zoom in over here. Say we want to put a bed into the bedroom. We can now go up to our components. And we'll go, let's say queen bed, because this looks like a pretty big bedroom. Go queen, under a meg, so that looks pretty good. We'll download that guy. And then there's a bed. Okay, my hint to you though is there's a whole heap of these out there. You might want to use them as inspiration so you could look up and see what's out there and what's possible. And then you might want to tweak it your own way around. Okay. If you just do components inside of your actual assignment, that's not going to be as strong as someone that builds their own bed, for example. Okay. So while it does look really cool, my hint to you is to look at these for inspiration and then try and work out how you design it and then log it in your process journal. That will be a lot more superior. Okay. So hopefully you've learned a lot with the tiny house build that we've just put together. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this assignment. And yeah, please give us your feedback in the comments down below as I do read through them and I try and adjust the way that I deliver this in the future. So thanks again. Hope you've really enjoyed building this tiny house. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it does help with the YouTube algorithm. And see you next time on Steam It with Steve. Adios.